to Tarot Thursday. I'm your host, Reverend Mary Hawk, and with me is Reverend Don Lewis. Thank you for
Hello.
joining me tonight.
Thank you for having me.
It's always good to have you on. And how are you this evening?
I'm good. I'm rested. I'm
That's good.
warm. What more could I ask?
Exactly. Warm is good. And how is the weather in Southern Illinois? Or
Well,
mid,
I'm in
I
I'm
guess
in Central, but
Central
it is
Illinois.
well, it's 46 right now, so not that bad. Um,
That's good.
until you stop and think about living in Florida for a decade, and then
Yes, but
46 seems rather cool.
yes, but you don't have hurricanes or alligators.
Well, that's true.
Hello, Elio. Thank you for joining us. And welcome to everyone else who's joining us. Go ahead and post a hi in the chat room, and we'll also take your questions for tarot readings. We'll start out with 3 cards and see where we go from there.
Yes, we will.
And this is our first edition of the new year. Hi, Renee. Good to see you.
Hi, Renee.
Yes, Elio, you can have a card. We'll even give you 3 or so. Hi, Lynn. Good to see you. Thanks for joining us.
And do you want to go first, or shall I go first?
I can go first. All right. Well, the first card I forgot for you, Elio, is the Sun. And so this is a very fortunate card. It means things are going very well. The next card I've got is the Four of Pentacles, which means in the material realm, things are going well. You have the resources you need, and you're able to share with others if you wish. And then I've got the Princess of Cups, which means that in the emotional realm, you may be holding back a little. But so go ahead and say what you need to say, is what the princess is telling you. So I hope you find that helpful.
And I had a jumper when I was shuffling, and the jumper was the Hanged Man. And the Hanged Man is a period of waiting in which you're learning new things. New things are coming to you. So I think Elio is going to find that during this period, it may sometimes feel like it's taking a little longer than it could, but good things are coming, and it's a period of learning. Now we have the Three of Coins, which is success, mastery of craft. It's a very good positive card. We have the Wish card, the Nine of Cups. And the Wish card is both one of the best cards and one of the worst cards in the deck because it says be careful what you wish for. So be sure that you're focusing on what you really want, because what you focus on, you'll get. And then we have the Prince of Swords. And the Prince of Swords kind of goes along with the whole make sure you say what you need to say. The Prince of Swords says to make sure you stand up for what you want, what you need, and make sure that you get it. Years ago, when I first started reading, I took the Prince of Swords as imposing yourself on others and as being a bad thing. But I found that for me, it would come up from people who actually needed to be a little more imposing at that moment, and were allowing other people to take from them what they should be getting. So what I would say is you should find yourself in a very positive situation, but make sure that you're getting what you need from it and that you're standing up for your own interests. And there you go.
Okay, and Renee says she's been up to no good and wants to get a general reading. About being up to no good, I suppose.
I assume.
You are welcome, Elio. Oh, I can go ahead and go if you would like me to.
Mm-hmm.
So, Renee, the first card I've got for you is the Three of Pentacles. So, we're pulling the same cards again. So, she is talking about things doing well in the material realm, especially around your job. Then we've got the Princess of Wands. And the princess is talking about being restrained and holding back your actions for fear of what others think. So don't do that. And then finally, we've got the Two of Wands. And this is talking about setting out on something new and looking at the horizon in front of you. So don't be afraid to try something new. You've got the resources to do it. So don't be afraid. Go ahead and do it, Renee.
And I once again had a jumper, and it is temperance. And temperance is creating new things out of old things. So again, in this upcoming period, I would look for some new things beginning. You have the Empress, which is prosperity and good things all around you. Strength, which is just what it sounds. Strength, which is just what it sounds like, good things inside. And the Seven of Swords, which says that at times you may feel like you are going a bit uphill. But you definitely can do what you want to do. It may take a little bit of work, but it's very doable. And generally speaking, I'd say it should be a good time.
And hello to Michael. Thank you for joining us. And if anyone wants a reading, go ahead and post it. And that was an interesting visual effect with strength.
It was. Apparently, the camera does not realize I have a green screen again, but I never saw the place to check it, so I'm not quite sure what to do with that.
Yeah,
This
we'll
happened in
work on it.
class the other night, and I realized at the end of the class that I have to check that every time, although that was Zoom. So I don't know. Apparently, we're going to have some interesting effects. What can you say?
Yes. And Lynn would like a New Year reading. We can do that. are welcome, Renee. Okay, Lynn. So the first card I've got for you is the Hanged Man. And so this is talking about new learning and new mastery. Then I've got the Two of Wands. So this is talking about the Hanged Man is new spiritual learning, and this is talking about starting something new or going somewhere new in the physical world. And then finally, I've got the stars for you. So this means you need to be communing with your higher self. So I think this upcoming year is going to be a year full of a lot of positive changes for you. You're going to be learning a lot in the spiritual realm and having some interesting changes in the physical realm. Your turn.
So I had two jumpers. I had the Princess of Coins, and the Princess of Coins has everything she needs. She is ready to go. She's just not ready to go. She has all the skills, all the tools, all the knowledge that she needs for whatever it is she wants to do, but she's just not quite sure she wants to do it. So one of the major energies that you'll be dealing with is the question, are you ready to go? Are you holding back intentionally? Look at how you feel about the situations in front of you, because you can move anytime you want to, but you may be holding back for some reason. With that, we have the Two of Swords, which is a friendship or alliance that will help you to move forward. We also have the Princess of Cups, which is emotion. And I'd say that as you go into the new year, you're going to be feeling a certain amount of emotion about a number of things around you, which may be why you're tending to hold back from certain new beginnings. You have the Nine of Lamps, which again is all the skill and ability you could ask for. You've got it. You're ready as soon as you're ready. And we have the Queen of Swords, which is learning from past situations. And this might also be why part of you may be tending to hold back. Look at your past situations and bring forward the best of them and leave the worst of them behind you. Focus on the good patterns, focus on the good lessons that you learned, and don't let the bad things from the past hold you back from a good future. And finally, we have the Ace of Lamps, which came out along with the Queen of Swords, which is listen to your spirituality, listen to your spirit guides, tune into your higher self, and let that also help to guide you forward. And there you go.
Okay, Lynn, I hope you're going to find that helpful. Hi, Amberlynn. Nice to meet you. Thank you for joining us.
Yes, indeed.
And if you would like a reading, go ahead and post it. Hi, Eve, and blessed be to you. You are welcome, Lynn.
It's always good to have something to ponder. So here we are,
Here we are.
in between readings.
Yes.
What is the news of the tarot world? No, I will be doing in-person readings tomorrow at Willows and Moon Bookstore in Danville, Illinois. I think it's the last time I'll be there because they're moving. But, you know, if people would like to have a reading with me, you can set one up by emailing me at donlewishp@aol.com, and we will be happy to set up a reading.
Right. And you can contact me at maryhawk1968@gmail.com. And now we've got 2 requests in the chat room. Michael just got a contact from someone from his late wife's family, wants to know if this is a positive contact. And then Amber Lynn asked for a reading. Hello, Brian. Good to see you.
Hello, Brian. Well, this is an interesting group of cards.
Well, you go ahead. I'm still shuffling.
I've drawn the Magus, the Nine of Swords, and the King of Wands. So the Magus, the High Priest, the Magician, it's a very good positive card. It's a card of being able to get what you want from the situation, being able to work your will in it. With it is the Nine of Swords, which is called the Ghastly Nightmare. And it says that whatever you're afraid of in this situation is also there. But like a nightmare, it really will not hurt you unless you try to get away from it. So if there's something that you're worried about with this person, confront it head on, and you'll be better off. And finally, we have the King of Wands, which is passion and an emotion going into the situation. So I would say overall, it is a good contact, but there is something there that has to be dealt with, and it in fact must be dealt with. And I asked for a clarifying card for the Nine of Swords, and I got the Lovers. And the Lovers to me indicates a choice. So I would say that really you have a choice of whether you want to go forward with dealing with this person or not. And I would say that choice really should be dependent on whether you're prepared to deal with whatever that issue is that needs to be dealt with there. And there you go.
And the first card I have for you is the Lovers. So you have a choice here. About whether or not to deal with this person. The next card I've got is Justice. So with it, I've got the idea of something is coming a full circle here. And then finally, I've got the Soul. So here we have the image of the mother and the child. And the idea to me, again, is the idea of something is coming a full circle. And I'm going to draw one more. And I've got the Nine of Cups. So I'm going to say this contact can be very good or very bad, and a lot of it's going to depend on your attitude in the situation. And just one more. And I've got the body, which means there's something here you don't see yet. So again, I think it has to do with your attitude. And remember, you can always say, okay, nice talking to you. See you later. So I hope that's helpful, Michael. And now we have got a reading for Amber. You are welcome, Michael.
You want to go first, or do you want me to go first?
You can go first. I am still shuffling.
So the first card I've drawn is the Knight of Swords, who we met earlier. And the Knight of Swords says it's very important for you in this period directly in front of you to make sure that you're standing up for your own needs and your own interests. Make sure that you speak up for yourself. Make sure you get what you need and you get what you want. Because if you don't do it, nobody else is going to do it for you. With that is the Eight of Swords, which says that you may find yourself feeling somewhat held back or held down by the situations around you. And the Five of Cups, which says that you may not be very happy with them. But you'll be much happier if you stand up for your own interests. And as a clarifying card, we've drawn the Prince of Wands, which says it's also very important to focus your energies. And if you focus your energies and stand up for the things that you want, you'll have a much better time of it. Otherwise, you may find that you're not getting the things that you want. Because you may find yourself kind of waiting for them to happen, thinking they just should happen, which in fact perhaps they should, but they won't if you don't make them happen. And there you go.
Okay, so the first card I have for you is the King of Lamps. The suit of lamps has to do with our spirituality. And so the King of Lamps is saying you have what you need. And then I also have the Eight of Swords. So definitely you are feeling held back right now. But then I have Judgment. And so we have someone here sitting on the lotus leaf with the Kundalini serpent unfolding. And so you are going to get the fruits of what you have been working on. And if it feels stuck right now, the situation is unfolding. You just need a little more patience at this time. So I hope you find that helpful. And let's see. Next, we have Eve, who wants to know if her craft show Saturday will be successful. Hello, Yaso. Thank you for joining us.
Hello, Yazo.
All right. And I have a jumper. Excuse me while I fetch it. You can go ahead if you're ready.
I had two jumpers, and they are Judgment and the Chariot, which features a see-through dragon at the moment. And these are both very positive cards. Judgment is getting what you've worked for. The Chariot is moving forward. Then the cards that I intentionally drew, we have the Princess of Lamps, who It's also largely dropping out against the background. We'll hold her over here. That isn't helping. Okay. But the Princess of Lamps, which says to use your abilities to get the outcome that you desire. Your magical abilities, your manifestational abilities, make sure that you're focusing energetically as well as intentionally on what it is that you want. We have the Five of Lamps, which says that part of this is seeking a new beginning or a purification. Part of perhaps of the motivation. Be aware of that, and that also is part of what you're going to get from it. The veil. The veil says to look at the whole thing holistically and look at all the good things that come from it. It may not be everything that you want, but there's still plenty of good there. And the Ace of Lamps is spiritual guidance. The two jumper cards were both very positive. The others are all very spiritual for the most part. So I would say that the first thing that you're going to notice from the fair actually is more emotional and spiritual and personal. But I think it should go well. Let me draw one last card on that subject. Oh, and we've drawn the Empress, which is a very positive card for prosperity and financial situations. So I think it will go well. But I think the main things you're going to get from it are actually spiritual.
So the first card I drew is the Five of Pentacles, which indicates a need to take care around the finances. Then I also got the veil. So again, look at things other than finances. But I also got the Six of Pentacles, which indicates doing all right financially. And then finally, I drew one more for clarification, and I got the Ace of Pentacles. So I think you are going to find that you're going to be reasonably successful as far as what your material goals are. But with the veil there, I also think there's something coming that is going to be more important than just the profit you're going to make. So I hope that is helpful for you, Eve. And let's see here. Who have we got next? Brian wants a reading about the energy of November. It's historically a season of deep shadow work, which is not surprising since this is the first month of the liturgical new year for us. Bear with me, my thumbs aren't working.
So I'll go first because I've already drawn them. Our first card is Justice, and Justice is getting what you're working for. It's getting what you're striving for. If this is a time of deep shadow work, you'll have good success with it. It's crossed by the Sun. The Sun is success, can be prosperity, can be happiness. You'll be in a good situation and you'll be doing good work. Then, want to talk about shadow work, we have the Eight of Cups. And you can see in the Eight of Cups that we have all the shadows coming out. So yes, it will be there. But you want to remember, as in the picture, the man here is cowering from the phantoms, but they're only phantoms. When you do shadow work, you're working to heal and release these things, not to allow them to overwhelm you. So remember that you are healing them. You're going to find some mixed feelings in the things that you're dealing with, but fortune will give you a hand in dealing with them. So I think it's going to go very well. But yeah, you'll be doing some shadow work in an otherwise very positive situation. And there you go.
So my first card for you is the Soul. And so we're talking about new beginnings here. New year, new start. And with the Soul, also look to where you came from. Then I've got the Nine of Wands, which says you're going to be feeling confined, like something's holding you back. But then I have Strength, which says that you have the ability to deal with what's holding you back. And I drew one more for you, and I came up with the Seven of Lamps, which is talking about purification, which is part of your shadow work, I think, as you let go of what's in the past. Also, do some cleansing and purification with it. So, I hope that helps you. And
I just noticed the beautiful ring that you're wearing tonight.
which ring? This one?
That's the one, the blue one.
Yeah, that's Petersite.
That's very nice. It goes beautifully with the color that you're wearing.
Thank you. That
I'm
one
wearing
is for,
dragons.
yes,
Can I get them in?
I got one. We can only see
There we
one hand
go.
at a time. There we go.
They
Oh, those
match.
are awesome.
They're Chinese dragons. They came from Light of the Moon in Evanston, Illinois, many, many, many years ago, probably 30 years ago.
Awesome. I have a dragon charm my father gave me. The necklace it was on broke. I've got to find a suitable necklace to put it on.
Yes, indeed.
He
He
also is
also,
asking us about the deck.
yes, you must tell him or tell them.
He wants to know what deck are we using?
What deck are we using, Mary?
We are using the Tarot of Hecate, or the Infinite Tarot, it is now known as, that Reverend Don designed.
Yes, I created
And
this deck in the 1980s, before some of you people were born.
I was born. I might have even been out of high school by the time you created it,
It
depending
could
on
be.
exactly when in the 80s you created it.
I was still working on it probably around 1989, but it
Yeah, I
started
was out
around
of high
85,
school.
86. Some of the artwork is older. One of the things you'll notice about it, though, is that a lot of the drawings are very dark. They have a lot of black values in them. And that's because originally this was a black and white deck. And all of these different artworks were meant to be seen in black and white because that was all that the publisher could afford to do at that time. It was going to be published by J.R. Janoski at Gemini Press in California. And that never happened. In fact, the original artwork was all lost in her garage somewhere along the years. But I'd kept exact copies of everything because I did. And in the early 2000s, we decided to publish it and to make it into a color deck. And so after all those years, I colored all this artwork and we brought it forward.
All right. And we're hoping to release it again soon.
Yes. You know,
And we
people
do,
want new copies and they must be ordered, but that's a bit of an expensive proposition, so we're working up to it.
all right. And we have got a question. Rebecca says she is job hunting. Uh, did second interviews for 3 companies this week and waiting to hear back. So we can do a reading on your prospects there. And he also is a solitaire and a member of the Fellowship of Isis.
I am also a member of the Fellowship of Isis. And in fact, I'm an archpriest of Isis and a member of the Triad Union. And I find I've quite enjoyed my years in the Fellowship of Isis. It is in Chicago. The archpriestess Dina was the leading member of the fellowship, and she would do the Isean mystery plays in full theatrical form. It was really quite nice.
All right. So, Rebecca, the first card I've got for you is the Seven of Swords. So, you are feeling like you're in an uphill battle right now. There is a path forward. Next, I've got the King of Wands, and this is a fortunate card in this aspect. He is saying that you have the resources, you're in control of your destiny. I have got future, and this card could be Icarus or Daedalus. And if you remember the story, Icarus flew too close to the sun and the wax melted off his wings, and he plunged to death in the ocean. But Daedalus plotted a safer course and made it to safety. So I don't know if cautious is the right word, but be wise in your dealings right now. Don't be reckless. And then I've got Fortune. And this is a very favorable card for you. It means that you're going to get a boost from fate. So I think you are going to be getting positive news in the very near future.
So I have the Nine of Wands, which is a situation of waiting and in this case, obviously waiting for news. We have the Ace of Swords. The Ace of Swords suggests to me that you may have to make a choice between these different options. Or maybe I should say that you may get to make a choice between these different options. And the Princess of Cups says that you actually probably feel very emotional about the whole thing. But I also had a jumper, and it is the Ten of Lamps, which is a very positive card. It is a card of, well, basically to sum it up, it's success in getting what you want. So I think you're going to get good news, and I think you're going to be very happy with it. And again, I think you may end up having a choice in exactly which of these you want to take. So I would be patient while waiting, realize that there's a little more waiting involved, but it looks like it's going to come out quite well for you.
So I hope you find that helpful. And job hunting is nerve-wracking. It is.
It is.
That is a good plan. Reverend Don, could you pull a couple of cards for me and see why all my deliveries are messed up this week?
Okay, let's see why your deliveries are messed up this week.
It's a pattern.
First we have the moon, then we have the soul, then we have the tower. So we have all major arcana, which suggests to me that whatever the reason for this is, one, it's spiritual, and two, it's bigger than it looks like. And it has to do with accessing your own power and breaking free of limitations. So whatever deliveries are messed up, the effect of it is to cause you to break free of restricting patterns. So break free of your patterns and your deliveries should be fine.
All right. Thank you.
You're very
I had
welcome.
a feeling there was something behind it. It's getting ridiculous.
I don't really see why these things would be connected, but I don't need to. But that's the answer that we get, so that tells you where to start.
Okay.
You should be able to resolve it from there, I would imagine.
Thank you. Okay. Does anyone else have a question for us?
And pardon my slight yawniness. It's been a long day.
Yes. It
So
has been
Yaza
for
was
me as
mentioning
well.
Lady Olivia, who is one of the founders of the Fellowship of Isis, and mentioning missing her very much, which many people do. Lady Olivia was a fascinating woman. The Fellowship was founded by Miss Olivia, by her brother Lawrence Baron Strathlock, the 21st Baron Strathlock, and his wife, the Lady Pamela. In 1979, I believe, at the spring equinox of 1979, I believe that it was. And Lady Olivia outlived her brother and sister-in-law by many years. She lived well into her 90s. And the last couple of decades of her life, she was going all over the world all the time, every year, visiting different Icean events and locations. She had more energy than someone a quarter of her age. She was a remarkable woman. I believe she was 78 the first time I met her, which was right after the first parliament of the world, well, the first modern parliament of the world's religions. And a most remarkable woman.
Oh, well, thank you, Rebecca.
Yes, indeed.
We appreciate that.
We truly do. I have a number of interviews with Lady Olivia at Magic TV. One of them took place at one of the Icean conventions when she described herself as being dressed as a rainbow that day. And she basically was. She was wearing all kinds of beautiful colors. But that kind of describes Lady Olivia. She had a child's enthusiasm for the world and wonder with what was in it. And she was a very amusing storyteller. She used to talk about how she hated to hear people talk about the good old days because she was old enough to remember the good old days and they weren't that good. She talked about how when she was a child in Ireland, everybody was driving around in ass carts, as she would put it, which is to say donkey-driven carts. Even though it was the 1920s and some parts of the world had cars going, not so much there, although her family had one. And she remarked that in those days, her family were the only people there who had any money in her area. And now, because of the growth of computer technology in Ireland, it had changed, and everyone had money, and she much preferred that.
She sounds like a wonderful person. I love to hear your stories about her.
Have you seen any of the interviews? She had the most delightful accent.
She did, and yes, I have
Yeah.
gone and looked them up.
She talked about, I don't know if it's one of the interviews or not, but she talked about how during the First World War, her mother was pregnant and she was at the club playing tennis, despite being pregnant. And she was sitting having lunch, and the man came up with a little silver tray and a letter on the tray. And the letter said, "The rebels have taken the castle." Not just everybody has those stories. She was 8 years old the first time she saw the castle and lived in it, I guess, most of the rest of her life. And that would be Clonagall Castle in Clonagall, Ireland, also called Huntington Castle. They were an interesting family. They were well over 1,000 years old, and they were originally Scottish. And the Baron was the 21st Baron, but it was a Scottish title recognized in Ireland through a long series of events. And that kind of describes just the history of the family. They came a long way to be there, and to and most of the modern family were artists and writers.
Interesting.
If you've ever heard of Robert Graves, which I'm sure you must have, great writer
I
from the
have.
early 20th century who wrote The White Goddess, among other things, he was her cousin.
Was he? Yes, I have several of his books.
Her mother did not approve of him. She was not allowed to associate with him growing up, but he was her cousin. Her mother
You can,
apparently was a bit straight-laced.
I can certainly see why her mother would not approve of him.
Um,
My mother would have been horrified by him.
and Yazo says that she did see the interview at the castle where she was giving a tour of her home there, where she must, I assume she told that story there. Yeah, it's quite an interesting castle. It features in the opening scenes of the film Barry Lyndon also. Oh, and Rebecca is in Florida. Good night, Rebecca. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for joining us, and we're probably going to say goodnight shortly. I'll be back next week for Tarot Thursday, and Reverend Brian will be reading with me. And
I'm sure it's
also
not
George.
47 in Florida.
Are you missing Florida a little?
I have to say I prefer the Florida winter to the Illinois winter, but what are you going to do? I did grow up here, so it's not a surprise.
Right. Well, everyone, thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Yes, indeed.
You can join Reverend Don tomorrow at noon Eastern. I'm sorry, noon Central, or 1 Eastern for midday with Reverend Don. What are you discussing tomorrow?
Tomorrow is going to be a best of, because I'll be reading at the
Oh,
Willows
that's
and
right.
Moon bookstore, so I'm going to have to figure out what I'm going to put up tonight.
Okay.
It'll be one of our previous discussions.
All right. Well, it was great speaking with all of y'all tonight. I'll be
Yes,
back
indeed.
with Tarot Thursday Next Thursday and Sunday evening, I'll be back with another edition of Witch Rising, looking at some more attacks on pagans and paganism, and that will be Sunday evening at 7 Eastern, 6 Central. So thank you all, and Reverend Don, will you see us out with a prayer?
Certainly. Divine Mother Goddess, Divine Father God, beloved ancestors, we thank you for all that you do in our lives, and we ask you to help us to be mindful of the many things we have to be grateful of in our lives. And help us to stand up for our own wants and needs in our lives and to reach out for those things we desire. And to achieve those things we desire in our lives, beloved Mother Goddess, beloved Father God, beloved ancestors, we thank you with great love and respect, and knowing you are always with us, but from respect, we thank you for your presence, and may you be blessed now and always. And
Blessed
thank you,
be
everyone.
everyone.